Hello students, and previous lectures we are discussing the Ohm's law. The Ohm's law gives relations between the electric current and potential difference. And in these lectures we are discussing the physical origins of the Ohm's law. Actual start of the Ohm's law. The gives physical origin of Ohm's law. Physical origins of Ohm's law. We know that the conductance, how will be happen the conductance? Conductance will be happen in the conductor due to the mobile charges. Mobile charges, this is the free charges which can be carry the electrons. The conductance will be happen in the conductors due to mobile charge. Mobile charge, it is not a handset or not the device which can be calling. This is one of the free electrons, will be free charges. Mobile charges is also known as a free charges which carry that is electron. Electrons carry करतात, त्यामुळे त्यामध्ये कंडक्टन्स हॅपन होत असते कंडक्टर मध्ये, म्हणजे carrying of the charges, that is mobile charges which can be carry the electrons. And some charges will be carrying in the volume of the conductors, and due to this the random motions of the electrons, and due to the random motions of the electrons which can be collides the ions within the conductors, the electrons will be collides due to the random motion of electrons and collides on ions within conductors or within the motions. Then it assumes that the electrons do not collide to each other. When we consider we study in the previous lectures one of the diagram, the flow of electrons is opposite to the flow of current, then which can be, this is the carrying of the electrons will be following through this path. And we assume that the electrons do not collide on each other, म्हणजे एकमेकाला ते धडकणार नाहीत, हे assume या ठिकाणी आपल्याला करायचं आहे. And when we applied the electric field, the motions of electrons is due to the electric field and collisions. When we applied the electric field, we applied some electric field, that is E, then the motion of electron is due to this electric field and collisions. आणि जे रँडम मोशन होत असतात ते व्हॉल्यूम मध्ये एखाद्या कंडक्टरच्या व्हॉल्यूम मध्ये पासेस थ्रू होत असतात. दिस इज द इलेक्ट्रॉन्स विल बी पासिंग और कॅरिंग और इन द मोशन्स, देन द कोलिजन्स ऑन द बाउंड्री और सम आयन्स ऑफ द कंडक्टर्स. देन या कोलिजनमुळे त्यांचे रँडम मोशन्स होत असतात. त्याचबरोबर आपण काय केलं या ठिकाणी एक फील्ड अप्लाय केलं, दॅट इज द ई, इलेक्ट्रिक फील्ड विल बी अप्लाइड. देन द मोशन्स और द डायरेक्शन्स ऑफ द मोशन, the direction of motions of electron is opposite to the electric field, E. The directions of the electrons will be passes or in the motion, that is the opposite directions of the electric field. Then consider the motions of the electrons which can be some velocities, that is known as drift velocity. This is the one another point we will be draw in the previous lectures. Then consider the mass of electron is m. Mass of electron is m. Experience some force, that is F force will be experienced force, that is F. हे force experience केलं आहे in the electric field. In electric field, that is E. एक इलेक्ट्रॉन्स आहे, त्याचं मास m आहे आणि ती काही फोर्स एक्सपिरियन्स करतं स्वतःवर इन द प्रेझेन्स ऑफ सम इलेक्ट्रिक फील्ड, दॅट इज E bar. And we know that this force is equal to, the force F is equal to electrons into experienced force by the electric field. Consider this is the equation number 1 in here. Then the accelerations acceleration A is, then acceleration is denoted with the help of the Newton's formula, that is F is equal to m into A. Then A is equal to F divided by m. Then accelerations A is equal to, what is the F? F is equal to A into E, that is divided by the mass of that electron, that is A. This is the another and useful formula in these equations, in these lectures. Then after the collisions, the motions of the electrons will be still opposite directions of the electric field with some velocity, that is Vd. It is the drift velocity, is a drift speed. Still moving, the electrons will be still moving opposite directions of the electric field with some velocity, that is Vd. And we can be consider one of the average time, जे काय collisions होत असते, टाइम लागत असते collisions धडकायला, एक average time टो. Let टो be the average time between two successive collisions, between two successive collisions. Then we know that the Vd, that is the drift velocity, Vd is equal to, velocity is equal to acceleration into the time t. Then that is the average time of the collisions, and A be the acceleration and Vd be the drift velocity of the electrons. Then we know that the formula of the accelerations is equal to, this is the acceleration formula of the accelerations. We use the Vd is equal to, then A into E, electric field divided by mass of the electrons. This is the required equations. And we know that we study the drift velocity, Vd is equal to, then joule divided by, this is the N into E. This is, we study in the previous lectures, that is the previous contents. This is the equations of the star, and this is the equation number 3. We know that we assuming we looking about the both equations, equation number 3 and equation number star. These left hand sides, the drift velocity will be same, left hand side LHS will be same. We compared directly with the RHS. Then we know that I will use of this portion of the board. Then J upon N into E is equal to, AE electric field divided by mass. Then we know that we find the electric field, then we can be directly multiplied on cross multiplied, and we take the electric field on the left hand side, remaining all terms put in the another sides. Then we know that m divided by E into E, that is E square into N into Joule J. This is the required equations of our lectures. How can start the Ohm's law, the physical origins of the Ohm's law, with the help of these equations? Then E is equal to rho into J, and rho, it is the resistivity of the materials. Rho is the resistivity of materials, resistivity of the materials, and resistivity rho is equal to m upon E square into N. This is all about our equations, and one terms will be missed here, that is I will be tau will missing years into 12 VD is equal to A into tau, and I will be missing here, that is tau, and accelerations be remove here. This is the all about the physical origins of the Ohm's law. जे या ठिकाणून ते ओरिजिन्स किंवा जे ओहम्स लॉ या ठिकाणून स्टार्ट झालेला होता असं त्यांना म्हणायचं. देन फिजिकल ओरिजिन्स ऑफ द ओहम्स लॉ, जे काही कंडक्टन्स आहे इन द कंडक्टर्स इज ड्यू टू द मोबाईल चार्ज and which can be carry some electrons. The random motions of the electrons and collide on the ion on the boundaries of the conductors within the random motions. Then we use some electric field. The motions of the electrons is due to the electric field and collisions, and the motions of the electrons are the directions of the motions of the electrons is opposite directions of the electric field, and which can be carried some velocity, that is the drift velocity. We used drift speed Vd. Then we know that consider some mass of the electrons is m, and they experience some force F in the presence of electric field E bar. Then we know that this is the force experienced by the electrons in the presence of electric field. This is the F. Then we know that we use the accelerations. The acceleration using the Newton's law, F is equal to m into A, Newton's second law of motions. Then A is equal to F upon m. Then we know that A is equal to F in the previous steps, and m will be used of these equations. This is the all about the accelerations. We know that the velocity is equal to acceleration into time. Then velocity is equal to acceleration into time. Then we know that this is the all about the equations of the accelerations, and the average time will be taken here. This is the missing out one of the points. Then, and what is the time? Tau is the time, average time between the two successive collisions. जे काही ॲव्हरेज टाइम असणार आहे दोन सक्सेसिव्ह कोलिजन मधला ॲव्हरेज टाइम हे टो ने डिनोट केलेला आहे. देन द ड्रिफ्ट स्पीड वी आर स्टडी इन द प्रीवियस कंटेंट, वी नॉट स्टडी बट वी आर ड्रॉप्ड इट ऑफ दिस कंटेंट्स इन अ प्रीवियस. Then Vd is equal to J upon N. It is the one of the equations. The equations is 11.6 maybe in your books, textbooks. You will be seeing these equations, and we find of these equations, these both equations about the velocity or drift speeds of the electrons, and we can be compared directly because the left hand side of both equations will be equal. I study the equations of 3 and stars. Then I will be directly compared to the right hand sides, then this, and directly compare, and we take one of this of the left hand side, all another points will be same, and these are the cross multiplications, and we take one of two denominator, that is these two denominator will be takes and all numerator will be takes and all are the denominators. म्हणजे जी काही टर्म्स आहे I and J, M and J will be numerator जाईल आणि अनदर टर्म्स काय आहे डिनॉमिनेटर E into E, E square and N, and जी काही मिसिंग टर्म्स होता तो या ठिकाणी आपण यूज केले. दॅट इज ॲव्हरेज टाइम बिटवीन द टू सक्सेसिव्ह कोलिजन्स ऑफ द electrons, and we find one of the row, that is the resistivity of the materials, resistivity of the materials. Then for a given materials, M, that is mass of the electrons, N, E or E square, and tau, average time of between the two successive collision will be constant, and rho also constant, but rho is independent on the electric field. All are same and all are constant. या सगळ्या गोष्टी काय आहेत या ठिकाणी कॉन्स्टंट आहेत. ठीक आहे, या सगळ्या गोष्टी कॉन्स्टंट असेल तर रो देखील कसं असणार, इट इज ऑल्सो कॉन्स्टंट, बट द रो विल बी इंडिपेंडेंट ऑन द इलेक्ट्रिक फील्ड. दिस इज द ऑल अबाउट the physical origins of the Ohm's law. In the next lectures we are start to discussions of some limitations, some drawbacks of the Ohm's law, and finish here the contents of Ohm's law.